to video game Flash Fiction, a game that begins now and ends in about 90 minutes with the start of the time, and then follows in by rolling some dice. We have 6 columns, we have 10 rows. I have a 6-sided dice to 1 to 6 for the columns. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we got the actual game we're going to be playing today. 7 from bottom to top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. For this video game, Flash Fiction, the randomly selected video game will be something. The goal of this game is to be able to create an original Flash Fiction stories inspired by this video game, only using its sights and sounds and no intellectual property. In this video game right here, encounter at L-5. Wow. Let's see if this works. If it works, it's going to become the story for this video game, Flash Fiction game. Maybe. Oof. All of these games have been tested, and this one appears to work. And so this one is called Encounter at L-5. It's got some groovy sounds to it, as if it's dropping something there. Well, let's go ahead and get this terminal, and let's look at this game, and let's play it, and let's create a story. Given this amount of time. It's kind of creepy. More than just kind of. Probably should have looked at the... Oh boy. Have I messed up? Is this... I should have read the cartridge. Uh-oh. Let me read the cartridge again. Oh my. I need the paddle controller. That is going to be a little bit of a pause. Hopefully I can use this single driving paddle controller and not just have to use the dual paddle controller. We'll see which one works. If it doesn't work, well, it's going to become part of the story. The paddle controller of the Atari 2600, well, they're a paddle. They are not a joystick like this right here. I need to switch this out live. This is what happens when you randomly select a game. Sometimes the controller doesn't align. At least when you're playing the Atari 2600. Maybe? Maybe not. Let's find out. Will the game be working now? Oh, you're kidding me. Well, said joystick does not work. And I'm going to die. Maybe it's about you're getting attacked on Encounter at L-5 and your entire system is just broke. I want to play this game a little bit, so I'm going to continue on. Oh boy. Now, with the Atari 2600, there were 2 different type of paddle handles. There was the dual paddle handle, same as with Pong, and there was the single paddle. Well, usually you did the driving games. I probably should have done with the double paddle first and not the driving. All right, there we go. Now we can have game time. Nothing like finding the right paddle. Whoa, you move quick. There we go. You can counter me, I'm going to counter you. Wow, I don't know where I'm going though. This paddle is crazy. And there's like something I'm shooting towards up in the sky there. And then I die. This seems pretty uh just just like how you going to win. Encounter at L-5 using the paddles. This doesn't seem much like an encounter. This seems like a ambush or a swarm of death. If I just hang out over here, nothing happens. Oh, wait, unless one of those things that shoots crawls into the ground and takes one of my lives. I'm trying to see where their firing pattern is at. Like with the sensitivity of this paddle here, I don't even see myself moving side to side. Oh, see, I want to destroy that thing right there. It's trying to... Well, on a scale of 1 to fun, I don't know. This might be a 2. I'm dead. Well, there you go. What kind of encounter at L5 is this? Oh, and it leads to death and destruction, chaos. There we go, maybe. Now, game over. Wow. The paddle. The death. The constant shooting. Like, obviously, if I'm looking at this program, you can see where they probably programmed in the ability. Maybe they just... Oh, that's weird. So if I'm looking at this from a perspective of a game, of a code, I mean, obviously they have their level where this digit, these bytes get down to, and then they transform into bullets and disappear. And then at that same level, I see, and then you can manifest this little thing that can also shoot. Wow. So these are like encounter it. Wow. Flash fiction. Well, let's go for it. I'm just going to leave that sound in my background because I can hear it. It's really annoying. I feel like this story is going to need some onomatopoeia today. And maybe it will. Well, for today's video game Flash Fiction with an hour and 21 minutes left, after a little bit of fussing to be able to get the paddles working and the actual game movement mechanics down, we have died many times. With our encounter at L, let's do... All right, encounter at L5. And you just die. Like, how can you really even play this game? It seems a little inevitable. Like, it doesn't even seem there's some sort of ending screen. It's just an endless swarm of aliens coming after you, shooting at you for some reason. Maybe you're the aliens. Maybe this is just the intergalactic military-industrial complex. L5 is landing zone 5, L5? I don't know what L5, maybe L5. This Flash fiction, so we want to go about 600 words, maybe 800, and I should stop typing now because this is going to be a little bit... I got to build up a world. Build up a world where swarming robots that turn into beams to shoot you and kill you and never seem to end in how many there are. And then there appears to be some specific firing machine. It looks vaguely similar to a Space Invaders bug that can burrow underground and kill your reserves, machines that shoot. So it's a shooting game. Space War. Oh boy, that's original. Although I can't appreciate the mechanics of this game. Devs, shout out to you. Let's try to make a story of this somehow. Encounter at L-5. Maybe I could flip it a little bit. Maybe they're really, maybe they're not violent. Maybe it's what they're really doing. Maybe they're really planting seeds. Or maybe they're docking. Maybe that's why they flash like that. They're like zooming into the ground. And your landing zone conflicts with their portal entrance. Because the more I look at this thing, it just doesn't like... They just fade into bullets. But maybe they're really hitting the portal that's going someplace. And this is really... Oh... Maybe this is the morning commute. I'm trying to think of something. Encounter, though. Encounter is always something that seems as if you're going to encounter something that you were as unexpected. Or planned, I suppose. It's just swarm after swarm and never-ending swarm. Like you think if you were actually attacking a thing, you'd regroup a little bit. So I'm going to look at this as... I mean, I really do. I can't appreciate it. And it even kind of looks like they're coming in because the way that it's not as if they're coming down from the sky. It's not like Space Invaders, except for the one that does look like a Space Invader alien. They're literally, they have a great sort of three-dimensional first-person perspective flight where they start out as a little dot and they grow into something. That's really cool. And as you can see here, when the screensaver hits, it takes out all the moving bullet line. Okay, I got enough. I'm looking at the game a little bit too much. Let's get back to this. This is going to be a tough one. As in, I don't have any clue what it's going to be. I want to go commute. I don't want to go war. There's way too much of that going on in lives and reality. Let's make this a little fun. But maybe a little bit someone who's not new to the area. They're just trying to go for the daily commute. And they're firing things. Road rage. Space rage. Maybe that's it. Maybe we can just project human nature or agency nature of conflict within this game. And so L5 is just your normal lane 5. Not landing zone, not everything. Encounter in lane 5. And so this is lane 5 right before they hit the hypermax. And they zoom off like warp speed. Say we're Star Wars, but I'm not going to call it warp speed. Although hyper jump, warp speed, dimensional folding, I feel like they enter the black hole. The wormhole. Okay. The wormhole L5. Excuse me. And maybe the things that are shooting are going to be... And maybe that's it. Maybe the thing, the little square. I think I have an understanding what represents the square, but the square is how you're trying to go against the traffic. So you have to like shoot it, but you're actually also shooting the people coming in and destroying their warp drive. The wormhole L5. Okay. Gonna say okay again because I'm full of doubt right now. We can get this. I got an hour and 14 minutes left. Boy. How is this gonna end? Well, how does all games end? You die. No, this case you're gonna something. Like they have like two sounds to this game. The shooting sound of the normal vehicle and then the warning sound of the actual vehicle that can hover and just fire rapid shots right there. The wormhole at L-5. The L-5 wormhole. Let's just start with there. That way. And maybe I could start with the actual conflict. It's flash fiction, so we're going to have to get everything up front and hopefully define. Definitely in the first paragraph for certain, hopefully in the first sentence, at least the conflict. It'll be about road rage, space flight rage, wormhole rage. Late for work, and raging after missing. I mean, what's like? I don't know. I've never traveled in a wormhole before. I keep on looking over at the. I should put this. This is. Late for work and raging after missing their teleport, their dimensional thrust. For the L5 wormhole. Late for work and raging after missing their entrance to time of L5 roll. Yes. Maybe I'm going to go second person. I'm going to go second person. And we'll go past tense. I mean, people get pissed off. Commuting pisses everybody off. I don't know. I would be concerned of the person who enjoys commuting in traffic. I get it. A lot of people, that's the only time they have alone during the day, so I can get it, but it's still weird. It'd still be weird. So this can be about traffic and hating it. I think that's pretty universal. Late for work, raging after missing your entrance. Your entrance time for the L5 wormhole. You park at its edge. Watching endless. Watching a stream. What do these things look like? Let's go back over here. I need this side up one more time. Let's reset. I mean, look like jet cars, and that's like the point at which they hyper leap. And that thing's gonna burrow underground. I don't know how to explain the burrowing underground thing. It's just maybe it's not so much burrowing underground. It's just going around the sort of the lip of the hole, making sure it's clean, and you just happen to park on it, and you're waiting for your route back in. And then there's this thing that, as it's circling the hole, and you don't see it because it's over the hill, over the crest of this thing. I'm going to use the fact that these seem like they're swarming in at this 2/3 angle from a distance is the traffic flowing inside. And the other thing is just a way to be able to clean it out, because you don't want anyone parking on the rim of your wormhole that's going to is the primary way people commute in space. I'd highly not recommend ever doing that. You're going to have problems. So let's go ahead and let's write that out. Encounter at L5. And the encounter, of course, is you and, well, you encountering this cleaning thing. So late for work and raging after missing your entrance time for the L5 wormhole, you park at its edge. You park on its rim. Watching the stream of morning morning traffic fly through space and streak. Watching the morning traffic of flying cars. Watch the stream of morning traffic. Watch the stream. How about space cars? Watching the space cars. Pull into the wormhole like blurred beams. On distant planets. Okay, so this will be, you're going to try to get back in, I suppose. I don't know. Supposing too much. Those noises. They sure do go. Late for work and raging after missing your entrance time for the L5 wormhole, you park at its rim watching. Yes. Late for work and raging after missing your entrance time for the L5 wormhole, you park at its rim. Watching the space car traffic appear and flow from space. And pull into the wormhole like blurred beams. All right, boom. You idle. You idle on the rim. Also watching what would be like the parking police. Garage attendants, traffic police. Traffic patrol. Shooting lasers around the rim to burn to dust any debris likely to cause mass casualties if one car hits it during entrance to the wormhole. You idle on the rim, also watching the terrific patrol. The terrific patrol. It is a terrific patrol. It's a traffic patrol, rather. So we got a traffic patrol, shoot lasers around the rim of the dust. Shoot laser bolts. Laser bolts. The L-5. Excuse me. This is the encounter at L-5. I don't want... It's just a normal day. Just a normal day of traffic. Late for work and raging after missing your entrance time for the L5 wormhole. You park at its rim, watching the space car traffic flow from space and pull into the wormhole. Like blurred beams, only to appear on distant planets. Only to appear at the other end of the L5 wormhole. Light years, only to appear light years away. L5 wormhole exit. We'll put all caps there. We'll point it out. You're really important. You idle on the rim of the L5. I gotta make sure we keep the reader engaged of where we're at. Maybe it's a little excessive. You park at its rim. I like on its rim. It makes a little more sense to be on, and that's what it is. Watching the space car traffic flow from space. Watching the space car traffic flow from space. Wow. How about rocket car traffic? Flow from space and pull into the wormhole like blurred beams, only to appear light years away at the wormhole. Let's get rid of this right here. I may need to take a quick pause. We're going to leave these lovely sounds going, though. Sound keeps going and going and going. Just fire. I guess it's not really firing. They're really just going into warp drive. Might as well see the whole graphic. Let's reset that. Fantastic. There we are. So let's process back. You're late for work. You idle on the rim of the L5 wormhole, also watching the L5 traffic patrol shoot laser bolts around the rim to dust any debris. To burn to dust debris likely to cause mass casualties. Well, how is this going to end? You fire. You trigger. Thrust from the rim. I guess it has to end in some tragedy. That's why you don't commute. Man, I'm stuck on this story. 58 minutes left. Let's get this. Let's pull some life into this. This feels pretty shallow. And there's just a lot. I don't have any sort of basis of human nature to go off of. This is just encounter at L-5. This L-5 wormhole. And you're about out of gas. Low on gas and late for work. Low on fuel. You idle on the rim. I don't need to repeat that. Let's just say you watch. I'm repeating some stuff. I don't need to. You watch the L5 traffic. Shoot laser bolts. You watch the L5 traffic patrol. Shoot laser bolts around the rim. Likely to cause dust to debris, likely to cause mass casualties if one car hits it during entrance into the wormhole. You watch your fuel and the clock ticking near the time for your shift at Saturn mining rings. Okay, there we go. Saturn ring miners. Let's make this more realistic. Late for work and raging after missing your entrance time to the L5 wormhole. You park on its rims and watch the rocket car traffic flow from space and pull into the wormhole like blurred, only to appear near Saturn. Let's make it more. Let's just pull in some realities here. So, realities mean we do have a planet people have identified as being called Saturn, so we all have some sort of objective definition of that. Laser bolts around the rim to burn away the dust debris likely to cause a mass. You watch your fuel and the clock ticking near the time for your shift at the miners as you launch a tracker bolt to time entry into the wormhole as you and the traffic patrol approved for entrance in 10, 9, 8. You launch your back thrusts into the rocket seat. That is a little bit of a torture. Just hearing that shot, that same sound. It's just continuous. Like it never stops. Okay, so I don't know. I've had more than one story. I think some sort of traffic. I suppose it at least pulls away from the fact of having all these games about death and destruction, which I'm cool. Like I get it, but writing the same story about taking over a planet is not only difficult to do in a flash fiction story, but gets a little bit boring. More than a little bit boring. You watch your fuel and the clock ticking near the time for you. The time ticking near the time for your shift. For the start of your work shift. At Saturn Ring Miners, you launch tracker bolt to time entry into the wormhole while you request a new entrance time. And the traffic patrol beams burns away an old wrecked rocket car and continuing to hover around the rim. And the cars flow. You shoot. Tracking bolt launches. Like that's what I don't get. Why are you firing back? Maybe it's not about the firing. It's the mechanics of the game, though. So is what I figure. It's like maybe they somehow the wormhole sucks them in. I don't know. This is a struggle. I mean, how exciting is this? I guess you at least have the conflict. Someone needs to get to work. People can relate to that. Now we gotta get back into work now that you missed your time. Around the rim. A deep voice speaks from your calm. Rocket car 991E8 hyphen 5ET0 violation. And your fuel. You click the application, you click the control panel over and over, hoping the rapid button hits will hasten your request for a new portal opening. As time ticks past your arrival schedule, your work arrival time, and your fuel nears the limit required to warp, to wormhole to Saturn. You tap the panel, hoping it will increase the fuel, slowly burning while the car idles. And while you watch, fire laser bolts burn away bits of Saturn rock debris. Saturn yeah, I mean the story of this it's a little flashy. I guess it's telling the conflict and making people who need to commute. Many people will be able to relate to this, at least I suppose. Let's not judge it yet. It's not dumb, but maybe it is. Like, how much more can I go for this? I don't want to just. Man, it feels empty. So you click the control. You click the control panel button to send the request. The portal let's just use this. As time passed, time strikes, time ticks past your work arrival time, and your fuel nears the limit required to wormhole the Saturn. Shall you call in sick and go home? So let's go ahead and move this sentence right here. We can find some of the conflict going on here. What are they going to do? Approved for entrance. The screen flashes. Let's do this. Let's add some neat little... Yeah, this is missing everything. Approved for entrance in 10, 9, 8. Maybe you don't die. Maybe just get there. Maybe it just shows like why does I don't let's not have someone die. Let's just not do that. I mean that's how all games end. It feels at least on the Atari 2600. Not all games. Some games end just when the time runs out. And when you're playing sports. I think I like this. So you launch back thrusts into the rocket seat. You trigger your warp drive, thrust from the rim, hitting the morning commuter. Excuse me. All right, let's play the game a little bit. Let me get this. So I think it's at least at some state of where I don't feel ashamed of it. But I also want to be able to kind of play it, get a sense, see if I can add any more details, and then decide. In 10, 9, you launch spilling morning coffee. I don't know if they're going to hit the morning computer. I think let's play this game. Let's play the game. I want to play the game, but I need to be able to see it better. So let's move this over here. There we go. I that's weird. I mean, it's kind of like how yeah. What a crazy game. I don't know. I feel like they have to die at the end with this inability to actually do anything. I feel like this is one of those games that you would play a lot maybe, and then you get really bored of and frustrated, or you'd sit around and have. I guess it's always. I mean, that's one thing with the Atari. Anytime I used to play the Atari, that there would be that high score you could at least shoot for. And I'm just gone mad. I didn't have to do anything there. And now the game's over. I mean, it just looks like to me like they could be commuters and they're just like going into a warp hole. And it's just, instead of like shooting, because they disappear. It's not like Space Invaders where they're going back and forth, or like the other being that comes in that looks like they're from Space Invaders. It's going down and then merging into the ground. So I'm happy with that part of the story. I'm not. See, this is where I think they'd be right here. See, they're like, All right, I'm trying to get back in. Launch. And I think it's just gonna be late for work. Like, the show doesn't have to be tragic. I don't need. We as a human race don't need more tragedy in our lives. At least today. Maybe ever. But we like to give it to ourselves, so I suppose we're deserving. I don't think we're deserving. I mean, I do like it. I do appreciate the game, and the graphics are really cool. I just really like how that they come in and appear from the distance, especially with something Atari 2600. How much memory they don't have to write a game. More than they do. Thrusting from the rim. You launch. I gotta finish this off as the traffic patrol. Is it what I call that? That's what I called it. As the L-5 traffic patrol. Let's do this. 8. L5 traffic patrols. Laser bolts land near. Scorching the rim. 6. A wave of rocket cars flow from space. Streak into the wormhole. And we'll go 4. You launch, spilling your coffee in your lap, back thrusting the rocket seat. You trigger the warp drive, thrusting from the rim. Thrusting from the rim, slipping into the wormhole. Arcing into the wormhole. You trigger the warp drive, thrusting from the rim, arcing into the wormhole. I guess that would be an encounter. That's the encounter report. Maybe I gotta do that. Maybe, well, what's the I mean, I'd almost want this the opposite sort of way, but I would want the protagonist to be more relatable. It'd be neat to rewrite this as the perspective of the wormhole cleaner. You trigger your warp drive, thrusting from the rim, arcing into the wormhole. The fuzz and buzz of dimensional collapse. Churns, not kerns. Churns your stomach. Saturn and its glorious rings appear. And a call message. of You're Fired. Well, that could work. Maybe. Maybe not. Excuse me. What time do we have? We have 31 minutes left, and there is a story here. Let's get a sense of maybe word count on this thing. 335. I guess I could add more details. There's not sweat drips like sweat coats. From your tense body and stressed soul while you watch your fuel in the work clock ticking near the time for the start of your work shift, while you request a new maybe it's a new encounter time. It's always an encounter. Did they have an encounter there? So that's how I can at least pull in the encounter. Oh, missing your encounter time. I like that. That way it sort of weaves in the title of the story just a little bit more. Maybe has some cultural, like, it seems weird for us to call it an encounter time, but maybe the original builders of the wormhole call it going inside an encounter because you're encountering something. And that's the term they decided to stick with. So now everything's called an encounter time to enter this L-5 wormhole. You pass work, park on its rim. And pull into the wormhole. You watch the L-5 traffic patrol shoot laser bolts around the rim to burn debris and likely cause mass. Sweat presses from your tense body and stresses. Twist your soul. And the work clock tick near the time for the start of your work shift at the Saturn. While you also request and the traffic patrol hover. This is L-5 Patrol. Alright, so you click the control panel button over and over, hoping the rapid button hits will hasten your requests for a new portal opening, for a new encounter time. And this will tie it in a little bit together too, because now taking the weird meaning of this game and putting it into the story at least will tie it in maybe a little bit more. Your time ticks near your required work arrival time, and your fuel nears the limit required. The limit required to wormhole to Saturn to encounter. You tap the panel, hoping it'll increase the fuel, slowly burning away while the car idles, and while watching traffic patrol burn away the bits of an asteroid resting near the rim. Shall you call in sick or go home? Shall you call in and be honest? Shall you? The screen flashes approved for encounter time for rim arcing into the wormhole. You encounter. That's what I want. You encounter. You encounter the fuzz and buzz of dimensional collapse and expansion. That churning your stomach, comma. We'll get commas later. 25 minutes left. We can clean this up. Saturn and his glorious rings appear in a comm message. You're fired flashes on screen. Your fuel depletes. I guess I've already set up the fact that they don't have enough fuel to get home, probably. Maybe. 9:06, yo. I'm not unhappy. Got away from killing things, which is always good. Made it a little bit more relatable. Unfortunately, a lot of people can relate to this idea of mass transit to a place to process for money. And turn the encounter to something that was kind of, I think encounter at L5. Let's look at this end and make it a little bit more. The laser bolts near scorching the rim of moon dust. Streak and encounter. 4. You launch, spilling coffee on your lap. Back thrusts. Your back thrusts into the rocket seat. You trigger your warp drive, thrusting from the rim, arcing into the wormhole You encounter the fuzz and buzz of the dimensional collapse and expansion, churning your stomach. Does this hit all the moral rigors of life? Who knows? Is it a story I can justify to myself as being complete? Maybe. Today, I can. Tomorrow, maybe not. But what I can say is that it was at least fun. I'm going to play this game just one more time, and then let's finish this up by reading it and probably calling this thing complete. Unlike any other games I play, I'm not rating this right now. I don't know what a rating I'd give if I did. All right, one last game. So we just landed. I'm getting my report to be able to thrust back in. I'm timing my ability to go here. I just destroyed something. Like, how do you not destroy that thing that just fires rapid bullets? That's the cleaner. And these are just a bunch of commuters. In the game, I'm really just firing my timing bullet over here, right there, and then I launch and I fly in with the rocket cars through the wormhole as they streak inside. I think the graphics add to that story, so I'm satisfied with that. Took at least the mechanics and made something of it. It seems to possibly be justified, at least in my mind right now. Let's do this. We have the time of 21 minutes left, but I don't always need to take that time. We could probably clean this up just a little bit, but right now, let's turn the time off and let's read the story and let's finish it up. Let's see how this time goes, how these words go and flow. And always remember, available on Amazon.com, there is the book. And it is available at, for example, book festivals I attend and exhibit at, as well as Comic-Cons. And coming soon to different places. But for right now, this story is a work in progress and will someday be published under under video game flash fiction. For today's video game flash fiction, this story was inspired by and called Encounter at L-5, or Encounter at L-5. Let's get some water first. Encounter at L-5. Low on fuel and late for work and raging after missing your encounter time for the L-5 wormhole, you park on its rim watching the rocket car traffic flow from space and pull into the wormhole like blurred beams, only to appear near Saturn and the L-5 wormhole exit. You watch the L-5 traffic patrol shoot laser bolts around the rim to burn the dust debris likely to cause mass casualties if one car hits it during the entrance into the wormhole. Sweat presses from your tense body and stresses twisting your soul while you watch your fuel deplete and the work clock ticking near the time for the start of your work shift at Saturn Ring Miners. You launch a tracker bolt to time entry into the wormhole while you request a new encounter time for L5. And the traffic patrol burns away an old wrecked rocket car continuing to hover around the rim toward you. A deep voice speaks into your calm. Rocket car 90E85ED0. This is L5 traffic patrol. You're in violation and trespassing. You click the control panel button over and over, hoping the rapid button hits will hasten your request for a new encounter time. Time ticks near your required work time, and your fuel nears the limit required to wormhole to Saturn. You tap the button, hoping it will increase the fuel slowly burning away while the car idles and while watching the traffic patrol burn away bits of an asteroid resting on the rim. Shall you call in sick and go home? Shall you call in and be honest? Shall you? The screen flashes. Approved encounter time in 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8. The L5 traffic patrol's laser bolts near, scorching the rim of moon dust. 6. A wave of rocket car streak and encounter the wormhole. 4. You launch, spilling coffee on your lap. your back thrusts into the rocket seat. You trigger your warp drive, thrusting from the rim, arcing into the wormhole. You encounter the fuzz and buzz of dimensional collapse and expansion, churning your stomach. Saturn and its glorious rings appear, and a comm messages speaks, "You're fired," and flashes on screen. That was Encounter at L-5, inspired by the video game of a similar name. That was Video Game Flash Fiction for today. Let's go ahead and let's save this. Commit it. Inspired by Video Game Flash Fiction. And with that commit, let's turn off the game. And it'll enter the stack of games to soon become stories to be published, well, in another Video Game Flash Fiction book. Until the next time, remember, find a way to write, and sometimes gamifying stuff will help, sometimes it won't. Sometimes going for a walk, sometimes dancing, sometimes staring at a wall. But create and find a way to do it sooner rather than later, because you only have so much time, and creating can expand your mind.